Which is better for investors, a UK in the EU or a UK stepping out of the EU?
Both. Former Ambassador Bolton and Mrs. Soros are wrong. Both.
I love it. Why?
It's not an issue what is good for the US. It's an issue what is good for the United Kingdom and for freedom and for responsibility of individuals. And to leave the EU would send a signal to the elite, the political class, the bureaucrats that impose regulation and new laws that stifle economic development, that they can only go this far. And an exit would be good for Britain, and it would not destroy the financial markets. Quite on the...
Okay, 2 points, Mark, because you yourself are an investor. You're a practical person, so when you say that the UK leaving the EU could be done to make a political statement...
Correct.
But as an investor, aren't you just more concerned about where the money goes?
Europe is becoming economically irrelevant in the long run. The future of the world economically is in Asia, India, China, Indonesia, and the other Southeast Asian and Indo-Chinese countries and emerging economies. The Western world, relative to emerging economies, is diminishing in terms of importance, also politically and geopolitically. We have to face the reality. And I think Europe functioned reasonably well. Since we have the EU, it doesn't grow. It has caused more problems than solved anything. And in my view, if Britain left, other countries would have an incentive to leave as well, which would be good. In other words, small countries flourish better. They have better economic prospects than huge empires, and the European Union and the European Council.
But Mark, I mean, what about the idea when you talk about Asia as a region of strength, North America we see as a region of strength, how can smaller European countries compete? I mean, Germany is more or less the manufacturing powerhouse right now, but what would happen to these countries, Italy, Spain, Portugal? I mean, Greece has been back and forth in default for the past few years on its own as a smaller country.
They would have initially a tough time, but you look at the most prosperous and most happy countries in the world, that are Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, Switzerland, all very small countries. Democracies function better in small countries where people have personal responsibility than in big countries. And I think for the US, the best would be if some states would secede and become independent countries. The first one that should do is Texas.
Well, you know what? You are always going to be welcome in Texas. The Lone Star Republic probably considers itself let's just say, independent and strong anyway. Marc Faber, thank you so much.
My pleasure.